Hey y'all, my name is Zay. So I want to start like, I don't know if it's gonna be like every week, but I just want to give a testimony called Testimony Tuesday. But I don't know if this is gonna be like a thing or not, because sometimes I don't know. I want to give a testimony and kind of just explain the story of my house, because I think the story of the house is a testimony in itself. So I'm just gonna explain the process of this house and how I feel like God really just had his hand on this house and on this whole home buying process. So when I was younger, because this goes back like a long time, is when I was growing up, we moved a bunch. Like we moved, I remember like in a span of like 8 or 9 years, we moved like 7 times, right? So that just kind of gives you a background of like, housing, finances and stuff. We're not gonna get into all of that. I'll make that be a different video. Anyway, so as you know, like I said, moving a lot and not having like stability when it came to houses was like a kind of like an insecurity, I guess, that I didn't really know that I had. So anyway, I'm gonna start it at like around COVID. So what is that, like 2019, I think? I was in Canada because I went to school in Canada. I was in Canada when COVID like started. It was so funny because COVID like just took off in like 48 hours, like not even 48, like 24 hours. So we were literally in class and they were like, yep, school's going to be virtual for the next 2 weeks. And it was already towards the end of the year. So I'm like, oh, well, maybe I'll just, go home for those 2 weeks, come back, because I was kind of homesick. So then something happened and they were talking about shutting the border down. Man, I brought myself home. Long story short, I came home. I got home and I started doing construction stuff. I was a journeywoman laborer and I was making some money, okay? It was like $36 an hour. I was making money, but I wasn't going nowhere because of COVID. So I was just like saving it. Like, okay, we can't go nowhere. Everything's closed. So I was just saving the money, right? And so I was able to pay off, school. And yeah, everything was smooth, right? And so I always like wanted to like build wealth some type of way because it's just how I was raised and like how I just never wanted to feel some of the things that I felt when I was raised. So I always wanted to like make money, be wealthy, not have to like worry about just some of the stuff that I had to deal with, right? And so I'm like, okay, like housing seems decent because so many people pay rent and it's like, why not just own something? You know what I'm saying? And so I was like, okay. My mom always told me I was going to own a house at 16. That obviously did not happen at 16, but she did plant that seed in my mind. I ended up getting laid off because they didn't need a journeyman laborer there no more. And so then I picked up this job doing bottle service and, nightlife. It was when COVID kind of opened up stuff. Like it was pretty good, making some decent money, making tip money. I was just saving. Like then I was a community health worker. So I was a community health worker in the day. Then I go and work at nighttime, but I was still finishing up school. So all this while I was in school, like I was in final, like it was crazy. I'm just continually saving though, because I've never been the type to just splurge or whatever. So I'm continually saving. The bottle service job, God shut that down. He was like, yeah, no. And I was fighting it because I really liked the money, but he was like, yeah, no. I was like, all right, cool, whatever. But I've already saved. I've saved so much money. Like I was sitting at like 30. And that's a lot to me. So it might not be a lot to a lot of people, but it's a lot to me. When I was in college, I never got a credit card. I had like some student loans, like $3,000 worth of student loans, just because I was doing too much. I shouldn't even have had that. But I was blessed enough to be on scholarship, so I didn't have to take out so much student loans in the United States. When I went to Canada, I had a little bit of whatever. But I didn't take out student loans for that. Those were like all personal loans from like people. So my credit score was horrible. So I've known Chauncey, that was my realtor. I've known him for a while. And his wife, my mom like coached with her. I think it was like a year or two ago. So 2020. I feel like it was 2020 though. So I asked Chauncey, I was like, so like, what do you have to do to buy a house? Right? What do you have to do to buy a house? And he was just like asking me questions like, do you have your tax stuff? Mind you, I've never done like taxes because I was in college. I wasn't really working like that, so I never really done taxes. My mom always just filed me under hers, like nope, like nothing. I did not know a lot about nothing. So he was asking me questions about that. How much do I make a year, and like what's my credit score? And so then I told him my credit score. And the thing is I didn't even know that much about credit. Like, I knew you got like what, like 800 or whatever, 850, whatever that was like a good credit score. But I didn't know nothing really about credit. Like, I knew you built it through credit cards and stuff, but I just did not have that, right? Because I was always scared and I always had the money. If I did not have the money, I wasn't gonna use a credit card to, no. Food was provided for, housing was provided for in college. So I was, anyway, so my credit score was like a 480 something when I messaged him. Or maybe like a 450, I don't know. Maybe it was like, oh, yeah, we gotta get that up. So he told me like, get a credit card, do this, whatever. So then I started watching videos on like how to build your credit. What do you have to do to buy a house? Looking into like housing loan. Oh, down payment assistance. That's what it's called. Down payment assistance. So I'm just looking into all these things and I'm just watching videos and I'm watching videos and I'm watching videos on like, I'm really trying to build. When COVID was happening, I really spent a lot of time with God and exploring options on like how to make money and stuff. I remember my first credit card had a limit like $380. Right? That's how bad my credit was. And I was like, okay, I got me a little credit card, right? Tax time came. And so I talked to the tax lady. She was like, you only got this amount of loans, girl, pay that down. Like, stop playing, just pay it off. Because I'm like, oh, maybe I can get like some loan forgiveness. Me, because I'm cheap, right? So I'm like, maybe I can get some loan forgiveness, whatever. She was like, girl, pay that down. So I paid that, like, whatever, $3,000, whatever dollars. And my score jumped like 70 points, something, right? Then I sprained my ankle when I was at my old college. And this college so cheap, they didn't pay for it. So I had that on my record too or whatever. So I just paid that off, whatever it was. I don't know how much it was, but I paid that off. So my credit was building, right? That was, like I said, 2020, right? And so it's continually building. I'm like, okay, I got me another credit card. The limit was like $1,000, but I had to like secure my own funds, whatever. I didn't really care. And so I'm just continuing to just, okay, Lord, all right, help me be able to do this. I finally got my credit score to like a 600, right? Big deal for me, 600. And when I tried to apply the first time to get pre-approved, I had a 617. So I'm talking to the person at my bank, right? And I'm like, all right, like, I want to get pre-approved. Like, I'm trying to move this stuff along. Then I'm asking him, like, is this going to mess up my credit score? Because I only got a 617. I can't let nothing ding me no more. Like, he was like, I'm just going to let you know, for this loan, we don't really give loans to people who have less than a 620. I'm like, dang, that's really crazy. Because when it says, if you look online, it says for the FHA, you just need like a 580 or something like that. And he was like, no, but for us, we only want a 620. I said, okay, fine. So I'm like, you know what? Because that was kind of a rush anyway. It was kind of a rush anyway. So I'm like, you know what? It's fine. So I just continue to build my credit. And even when I got to 620, I was like, whatever. I'm going to just keep building it. I'm building my credit. I'm working. I'm saving. Not going out like that. And even when I was going out like that, I worked out. Like, I worked at like a bar type thing. So, and God places people. Let me tell you, it's like many testimonies in this. So, first testimony is I already knew the realtor. Second testimony is his wife coached with my mom and like coached me, right? So I already had somebody who I trusted. Like, I trusted him, not because of what he was doing with his business, but because of how he took care of business, like when it came to personal stuff, how he showed up for people, how he loved on people. And that's number one. People see you and they see how you act, and some of your blessings will come out of how you act in other seasons. He wasn't even in the season of being a realtor, but I saw how he did his business when it came to training and just how he treated his wife and how he just treated the kids that he trained. And I'm like, I trust him because of that. And my mom liked him. So I'm like, I definitely trust you because of that. So that's number one. Number two, so I was out of a relationship. I stopped working at this bar, whatever, because God called me out of that. So I joined a choir and I joined a kickball league. And so I'm in this choir, and like, I'm 23 and the kids is like in their teens, some of them still in high school, whatever. So I'm like, part of me is like, okay, whatever. But I know that I needed a community because this relationship, I spent a lot of time with this person. So I was like, okay, cool. You know, I'm coming to whatever. I'm coming to the rehearsals or whatever. And the person I was in a relationship knew another person, right? Not in the choir, but they just knew this other person. And so I met them and I was like, oh, like I've seen them. I was like, okay, hi, you know. And Cortland, who was my choir director, he was like, oh, you guys should get to know each other. You're like the same age. Da, da, da. I said, oh, yeah, okay, hi, whatever. Y'all, we met in September. We became best friends like immediately. She purchased a house. Praise God. She got her own testimony, but that's what. So she purchased a house, and I was just like, wow, like she purchased a house. We kind of the same age. Like it was real cool, right? Things at my house weren't really going how I wanted it to go. So I ended up moving out, and I moved with my best friend. And I said, okay, I'm only gonna be here for 4 months because I'm just waiting for my credit to build. I have the money. I'm just waiting for my credit to build. So I'm not gonna be here for long, right? I'm not gonna be here for long, just whatever. So I ended up staying. Y'all, in the 4 months, my credit score jumped to like 6. I think I got up to like a 698, I think, or like a 6. It was something up there. I almost hit 7, y'all. But it jumped to like 698. I was able to pay, like everything's paid off. Like I wasn't really nothing. I didn't really have no debt. The only debt I had was a little 20, 30, 40, $100 from like gas and stuff that I was purposely using because of my credit card. So I'm just like, wow, I'm very inspired because she's bought a crib. And I'm like, wow, like this is great, right? And so just walking through that, like and prepping the house and stuff, that was just a testimony in itself because it just felt so good to be able to help somebody and to be around somebody who had something that I wanted without it being a jealous thing, right? So many times we get caught up like, oh, I want this, and they got what I want, and we become jealous and envious. But I think the testimony in that was like, God, I see what you've done for others. I know you do this for me. So as I was like living there and stuff, I was getting antsy because like to have the money, y'all, this is the irritation. To have the money, but to not have the credit score was the most irritating thing. Irritating. Then the housing market is just so crazy right now. Like there's this app that Chauncey had me download and download the app, and I wanted a duplex, or I really wanted a multifamily, wanted a duplex. They were just so expensive, like $400,000, $500,000, and they not even that nice. Like you still have to do work on it. Like I'm not rich. I saved money, but I wasn't rich. I'm saving houses. I'm on this app every day for like at least 30 minutes. Probably an hour, probably more than that, because when I want something, I'm really like dived in. So I'm just scrolling this app. I'm just scrolling. Every time a house comes up in my in the neighborhood, I know about the house. That's how much I've been on the app. Like you could tell me where like a block or something, I could be like, oh, that house just came for sale or whatever, or this house been on the market for 20 days, 30 days, whatever. Like I know what's been coming up because I'm on this app every day. I got so frustrated because I was saving these houses, and then I would go back the next day or like a week later and they'd be gone because people would buy them. And I'm just sitting in my friend's room, and I'm just like, I'm just so frustrated. I'm so irritated. She's just like, I just think you should just delete the app because you getting irritated and you're not ready to buy a house yet. Like, just delete the app. I only saw 2 houses in the whole process. The first house was a Conex box house, and I knew it was like a storage unit house, if you don't know what a Conex box is. So it's a storage unit house. And so it's those big old like storage boxes, and they put them on top of each other and made a house out of it. And I knew I didn't want to live there, but I just wanted to see it. So I said, hey, can I see the house? And this was the first one in my neighborhood. So he was like, yeah, sure, because I want to see it too. So I go see the house. I'm like, oh, this is real cute. This is nice, whatever. But I knew I was going to live there. So then I see this other house on this app. And I'm like, okay, this is a nice house. And it's a single family. And I wanted a duplex. But again, it was so expensive. So I said, you know what? We'll just look at a house. Because he said, why don't you look at like houses that you can like convert? I said, okay, cool, whatever. So I'm looking at this house. And it's like whole bunch of rooms. It's not far from my job. I'm like, Chauncey, like, I just want to see this house. Like, at this point, I'm not getting my hopes up because, like I said, my credit score isn't the best, right? It's still not the best. And so at that time, it wasn't like a 690 something. It was still a 650. I don't know. And so we're looking, and I'm like, wow. Like, we come to the house. I'm like, wow, this is a decent house. And the house, like I said, had a whole bunch of rooms. So in my mind, I'm like, these rooms must be closets because there's no way that this house is in this neighborhood. So we come and we're looking around, like, okay, these rooms not closets. Okay, you know, it's okay. And it's like in the cut, like it's not like where a whole bunch of action be going on, right? So I'm just like, okay, I'm like, wow, that's really cool. And I'm inspired, but I'm sad because I'm inspired because I'm like, wow, there's houses like this in my neighborhood and, you know, available. But I'm sad because I'm like, I don't have the credit score. And so when we finished looking at the house, I'm just really in awe because I'm talking to him and I'm just like, wow, I really like the house. He was like, yeah. He was like, I like it too. I was like, I really like this house. Like, I really like it. And so I'm just like, okay, whatever. And so when I went back home, I deleted the app because I'm like, I really like this house. I'm kind of attached to it and I don't want to get disappointed. So I'm just going to delete the app, and if somebody buy it when I'm off the app, it's fine because I didn't see it. And so a week later, a week goes by and it's a Saturday. I'm like, let me see if somebody bought my house. And that's how I'm thinking, like, it's my house. I'm like, let me see if somebody bought my house. And so I get the app, I open it or whatever, and the house is still up. I said, Chauncey, my house is still up. Like, I'm claiming it, and it's weird because I'm claiming it, but I'm timidly claiming it. And he was just like, Zay, you've saved this much money. You don't need a perfect credit score. I think you should go for it. So me and my best friend would go upstairs and we pray. We pray and we pray. And I'm like, okay, I really like this house. It's still up. I need to know if I should like go after it or not. So we just praying. Like, I'm just like, Lord, tell me because I'm dumb. Like, I be talking to God, like, God, throw it in my face, open up my eyes, open up my ears, and throw it in my face 5, 6, 7, 8 times because I could be dumb sometimes. Like, I be talking to God like, Lord, you know I'm special. So you need to throw it in my face that you want this to be for me. And so we go to the house again. And I said, let's go for it. The next day, I want to go to the house to pray over it. And Chauncey that man can pray. All right, come to the house, y'all. We get to the house. He bends down to get like the key box because again, the house is for sale. So other people are showing the house. And he's like, the key not here. I'm like freaking out because again, this is my first time buying a house. Like, so I'm like, okay, so did somebody buy the house already? Because I've already experienced this on this app. And so I'm like, oh no, like somebody probably like bought the house. So in my mind, I'm just like, okay. Because this whole time, that's all you can do. Like when God do his thing, you can only say, okay, because being all upset is not going to fix nothing. So I'm like, okay. So then this man gets up and he says, you know what, Zay, this could work in our favor. Because if the key not here, how they going to show the house? If the key not here, how's they going to show the house? If the key's not here, how are they going to show my house? You can't show my house. So he is like looking all in his pocket. He's like, I know I didn't lose this key. I said, I don't think you lost the key because you're the one who you knelt down in whatever. The people who own the house live Timbuktu away. I don't know where they live. They live far away. So it's not like they could just run up the street and open up the house for us and put a replacement key in there. So this man started walking around the house praying over my house. I'm praying in front of the house like, Lord, if this is for you, do your thing. If it's not, I'm not going to be mad. I'm not going to be mad because you're going to provide another house. It's tons of houses out here. You're going to provide another house. If you want me to stay at my homegirl house for another year, I'll do it. But Lord, if this is for me, let it be for me. And I'm not going to stress about it. That was the biggest thing, as I said, I'm not going to stress about it. The whole process, it's not that I was nonchalant. I just was relying on God. Like the loan officer was talking to me and I was like, Okay, so what you want? Okay. He like, this might happen. If we get denied. Like, and it wasn't that I don't care, but I just was relying so much on God because of the testimony with my, like, instability home stuff from my past. I'm like, regardless, God always made a way. And I'm just like, you know what? It is what it is. So I did leave the house kind of disappointed because I'm like, dang, well, I want to pray inside the house, touch the walls, da. But when he said that, he was like, well, nobody can see the house because the key's not here. I said, okay. So we moving on the paperwork, y'all. We move. Like, this was, I think Chauncey and Patrick, who's my loan officer, they were like, this is one of like the faster home processes that we've had, right? Because every time they sending me something, I'm sending them something right back. I had $30,000 saved. I said, okay, look, I've saved this money for this house. But I want to keep $10,000 to like buy furniture. Like, I had to buy a new bed. Like, I had to buy a new frame. I need to have that money. I had to buy a new washer and dryer. So I'm like, let me just, I need to keep 10K. If you can make that happen, cool. But if not, it's fine. I'll make something happen. Y'all, why did I only pay $13,000? This man negotiated them to pay $9,000 of closing costs. $9,000 of closing costs. I said, okay, Lord. This whole time I was just like, okay, Lord. The way stuff was just coming out. I said, okay, Lord. All right. You got it. So by the time, because I'm still working and I'm still saving, by the time like I closed, my bank account was at like $15,000. I said, what, God? Then, y'all, go in, and so I have the house, right? So peep this. Nobody knew that I had the house. Nobody knew that I bought a house. Nobody knew nothing. Like, people knew that I was looking. Like, they knew I was looking, but nobody really knew. And so I told my mom, my godmom, I said, y'all come over. There's this girl who house I'm at, and I need y'all to pray over her, right? And so maybe this should be a whole nother video, but I have them come, and I'm like, yeah, it's my house. And my mom caught on because she know me, so she caught on. But I was like, it just felt so good to be able to show them. And then Mother Carolyn, she's like my Minnesota grandma. I remember, like, we stayed at like in her duplex or whatever. I don't know where she moved to, but we stayed in her duplex, and she's known us for a really long time. And so she's known about like our home instability and stuff. And when I showed her the house, this woman started to cry. When I showed my uncle the house, my uncle started to cry. And it made me realize how far God has brought myself and my mom. Because I remember, y'all, we stayed in this house. We stayed in a 1-bedroom house. And the roof would look like, the roof had like a hole in it. It was like squirrels, like we make jokes about it, but it's actually horrible. So if this is the house, right, this is the back door and this is the front door. We always use the back door. And then like this is the living room, and then like the rooms. This is the living room, and there's a door right here. So the ceiling that had the hole in it, and the kitchen's like back here. The ceiling had the hole in it. Squirrels would literally, there was a point where we just kept the door open because squirrels would literally come in, drop down, and run outside. Crawl up the tree, come in, drop down, and run outside. And we made jokes about it, but it's just like, wow. You just never, like, what? And I remember we was boiling water, take baths, and wash dishes. And you would have never known. And I was going to a private school at the time. And my mom and my dad, they was grinding, making sure I was good. But my mom really held it down because my dad worked at a town. When I saw people crying over the house, it made me remember, because sometimes you could forget, and I'm glad that I forget. It made me remember how far God brought me but not only me, but my mom too, because this house is a representation of generational wealth, but it's also a representation of the work that my mom and other people put in. Oh my gosh. And it just felt so good to be here. And I ain't gonna let no tears fall because I'm a pimp. But I just want to give a testimony as to, number one, whatever situation you in, God gonna bring you out of it. The way that just God always provided for me when it came to a house, when it came to a whatever it came to, like even when the situation at my house got like tough with where I was staying, like me and my mom, he provided me with a friend who just bought a house. I was able to live with her for a couple months, build my like credit up, see how, you know, you work out tenant situations, because she had roommates up in there. And now I have a house and I have people renting rooms, and we ain't boiling water in here. This was a real long video, but if you made it to the end, thanks for watching. That is my testimony in this house. So yeah, that's Testimony Tuesday part 1. I'll see y'all later.